Still reacting to the Big East schedule release. We're also going to talk about recruiting. We've got some news there. And also, do big men run the Big East? The average height of the Big East getting pretty big over there. Let's jump into it. You're on Big East Energy Network. Welcome into Big East Energy Network's Big East Energy Weekly with Casey Matthews and your boy here, Mark Zanetto. Casey, how we doing?
What up, Mark?
I actually really do. And the more I looked at the schedule, I'm excited more than I am critical of it. Right. You know, I think we've talked about this. I think there's some glaring things, but a lot of that may have to do with, I thought Fanta did a good job on Spaces talking about how, essentially there was a draft of like all of the networks and streaming services that are using the Big East as a hosting platform. And, sometimes you don't get the best draft. Everyone does fantasy football. Sometimes you have best intentions to get, I want St. John's in UConn on a Saturday. Well, tough shit. They already took this. And so now you have to have it on a Wednesday. So I do think that that's pretty cool insight. But I also kind of wonder if that's the best way to allocate and market the conference. What about you? What's your kind of overall? Do you love it or hate it?
Yeah, I mean, so if I separate the Creighton side of it, obviously I'm a Jays guy. I talked about it on the Roll Jays pod. Actually, it's coming out Thursday. I think there's a stretch there in the schedule for Creighton that will make or break their conference season, and depending on how other things shake out, will really determine where they finish. But as a whole, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you look at a schedule and go, I hate the schedule, right? Because you're going to play everybody twice. You're going to play everybody, it's going to be a home and home scenario, right? Or whatever, round robin scenario. So like, you can't really necessarily hate the schedule, but I'm with you that you want some of the marquee games to be on marquee days and agree with what John said. There's some insights there. A couple that like I was excited to see where they'd land, like is obviously Xavier and St. John's. And just to see the matchup of the Patinos. They got one on a Saturday and they got one on a Monday night, but it's a standalone Monday night game. It's pretty neat. You don't get that a ton in the Big East. So I'm excited about that one. I thought more about our conversation too with UConn and St. John's. I haven't changed my mind, but I do understand, like as a fan, like, I started thinking about this actually this weekend. You and I are both suffering NFL fans. I'm a huge Dolphins fan.
What?
Yeah, big time. They had fire Mike McDaniel and fire Chris Greer flying over the stadium on week 2, which is never a good sign. But I would have flown the plane, honestly. But I was thinking about this because I was like, all right, Sunday morning, you have little kids, I have little kids, you're making breakfast, you're hanging out with the kiddos, but you're like, man, it's Saturday or it's Sunday. I'm really looking forward to watching, I'm really looking forward to watching my team. And I started thinking about that from your perspective of like, what are the days that I get really excited about? Well, not really anymore, but I used to get really excited about Dolphins football was Patriots week or Buffalo Bills week, right. And so I was sort of thinking about it from that perspective of like, if it's St. John's week for me as a UConn fan, like on one hand you could say like, well, you're going to get to think about it all day. But no, there's just something about waking up Saturday morning knowing like, you have a showdown in the Garden with St. John's, or that you got St. John's and Rick coming to Gamble or Hartford, wherever, if they choose to play that game in Hartford. So
actually in Hartford,
is it okay?
I think this year that's the one marquee split of St. John of Storrs Hartford. They're playing St. John's on the 25th.
Okay.
Yep. And I agree with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one thing I was interested to see, and maybe they did a press release before and I just missed it, but I was interested to see like the because they've toyed around with like Christmas Day games and that sort of thing. I was just interested to see how they would shake that out. But I think it's part of my responsibilities before when I was in hoops was team camp. And if you've ever run a team camp, it's a nightmare. The schedule is a nightmare. And so it's never easy to put a schedule together especially with the NBA arenas that come into play with the Big East. So all things considered, kudos to the league. I think they put together a good schedule that when I looked at it, there weren't any nights that I'm like, that's going to be a dud in the Big East. I think they did a pretty good job making sure that every day that you're having Big East games, there's at least one game that stands out as like, okay, this will be really, really fun to watch.
There's a lot of storylines too. I'll put a image up of kind of Big East dates to watch to circle on your calendar. So you have, let's start just in the next year in 2026. It's wild to say the numbers 2026. January 7th, you got UConn at Providence. You have Xavier at Marquette and Creighton at Villanova. That's a hell of a day in the Big East right there. On the 24th, you got Villanova at UConn, St. John's at Xavier, Seton Hall at DePaul, and Georgetown at Providence. Another monster. And this is one that Fanta pointed out, and I love it. It's a Valentine's Day special. So all the men out there that are listening to this, make sure you do something maybe the day before, because we got a whole day of basketball, baby. 2:14, Georgetown at UConn, Villanova at Creighton, St. John's at Providence, Marquette at Xavier. That's a hell of a day too. And then you have later in the year, you have on, I think, March 7th, UConn at Marquette, Butler at DePaul, Providence at Georgetown, Xavier at Nova. Other notable days, February 25th, St. John's at UConn, DePaul at Creighton, Butler at Villanova. For those that are listening on Spotify or Apple, those are the kind of dates to circle on your calendar according to our buddy John Fanta. So yeah, I mean, like, listen, I think you're right. I think all in all, it's a good schedule, outside of the silly conspiracy theories from, Providence fans that UConn is ducking playing Providence in Hartford because there's more PC fans there. Maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard. UConn's literally
I hadn't heard that one yet, Mark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a fun one. But at the same time, listen, I love some Providence fans. I hate some Providence fans. And it's you can pretty much say that about everybody in this league. So,
yeah, there's something about Providence fans and Mark Zanetto, though. I'll tell you what, I've seen.
I'll go wear my Friar shirt right now, dude. Like, that's the thing is, I what's so wild? I know people think this is stupid and blasphemous, but the reality is, I bleed blue with UConn all day. But when especially growing up as a kid, I mean, dude, like, remember like Sham God and Providence? Those teams were fucking great. Like, them beating Kansas in that Rafe LaFrentz team. Like, you don't think I was rooting for that team when I was a kid? Like, of course, it's the Big East. Like, we were all like in it. So I think I said this a long time ago. Like, I am a Big East basketball fan. I just happened to grow up in Connecticut with an incredible, opportunity to watch UConn basketball for almost 25 years. So, like, of course, I wasn't going to be one of these weirdos in Connecticut that rooted for Duke or Michigan or Providence for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Like, it's just made no sense to me. So, yeah, I mean, like, listen, I don't really hate any team in particular. I can't stand some fans that take it to that level where it's just like, dude, like, I get it. Trolling is a thing now and all that, but basically saying Dan Hurley is ducking Providence is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I don't think I'd agree with that one. I don't know. Plus, I mean, yeah, I don't know why you would. I just don't.
What's can't duck them. You play them twice anyway. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I guess what's their point that there'd be better attendance for Providence fans in Hartford. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, Stores is a pain to get to. There's no doubt about that. But if you're a passionate fan, you're gonna make the drive.
Well, there's less seats too.
Yeah.
So like, I think even if there is volition to it, who cares? Worry about yourself. Make the tournament this year, and then come back and talk shit to me. However, I want to break off that and talk about something positive for Providence, which is the recruiting stuff that we're going to get into. Okay.
Yeah.
So got a couple of Providence potentials that are actual 5-star, maybe borderline 5-star, because Abdou Toure is the biggest name. He's the Connecticut High School Player of the Year. Providence is going hard for him. They're really kind of inserting themselves in that. I saw Kim English has made multiple visits. I'm sure the NIL is going to be pretty comprehensive. I think that I would have to say they're the favorite right now. And it's not because, and I think, and this is where I slap them back with a backhanded compliment. Partly it's because UConn likes Abdou Toure. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want to get in trouble with the staff or them thinking that I'm putting out false stuff. I know for a fact that they like the kid. They would take him in a heartbeat. If he came to UConn, they would find a place for him. But as you know this, because you've been on staffs before, there's a priority list.
Mm-hmm.
He's not 1 and 2 on that priority list. He's on their list. He's been offered. Dan and Kamani have gone to see him play, like recently. So they're still keeping tabs on him, just in case, right? Yeah, it's a big roster now, 15 guys. They're gonna lose maybe 10 guys this year. So there's a potential for them to, they need to have a larger freshman class. But if they don't get him, they're not going to be heartbroken. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think so. Whenever you're putting together your plan for recruiting, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because there's times where you're recruiting a kid and you start to kind of ratchet up the pressure because you want a decision one way or the other. You just want to know, right, is this kid coming here or not? Because if he's not, I'm going to option 2 or option 3, But in situations like this, where if you get him, you're excited. If you don't get him, you're not devastated. It's a good position to be in. Right. Yeah. I mean, you certainly don't want him to go in your league, but
yeah, right. So
my question.
So this is my next question to you. And actually, I'll come back to it because I want to get to the other good on Providence. Caleb Holt, I think they're a long shot. He's a 5-star shooting guard. He's got a ton of offers, notably like Kentucky, Arkansas, a lot of teams that have some big time bags to throw at them. Not that Providence won't throw the bag at him, but if you look at some recruiting reports, some of the momentum, because he visited or is about to visit, one of the two, is kind of cooled. Maybe if he takes a visit, it'll warm up a little bit, but I do feel as if that's kind of a long shot. The Toure one is more of a, I wouldn't say it's a done deal, but it's closer than I think most people think. And then the bad, Ryan Moesch, who had a choice between Siena and Providence, and he took Siena and Gerry McNamara. That's a 4-star recruit, good player. He's going to be probably one of the best mid-major players in college basketball next year. Really good freshman. Gerry McNamara is positioning himself to potentially be the next Syracuse coach. That's my hot take of the day. But if he can start getting in 4-star recruits at Siena and take him away from Big East players, there's some good and bad with Providence. The good is obviously they're going after high prospects. The bad is if a 4-star recruit is going to play in the MAC over playing in the Big East, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to look too, though, on the relationship, and I don't know that situation. So there could be an assistant that was a godfather or a cousin, right? That's of that kid. I don't know, but I think sometimes.
But on the surface, it looks bad.
On paper, yeah, it looks bad if you're just looking like, oh my gosh, they picked Siena over Providence. I do get that, but a lot of times it is deeper than that. And the other side of it too, Mark, is like committing verbally right now. It's exciting for fans and for teams, right? You get like, okay, we got this guy penciled in. Until it's signed, sealed, delivered. Things can always change. The other side too is be careful, and I'm not saying this to you, but in general, is be careful with some of these offers that you're reading. A lot of these offers right now are still just favors to people. I texted a friend of mine the other day that he's on a staff, and I saw them offer a kid, and I was kind of surprised, and I was like, hey, like, is this real? And he was like, no, it's 100% a favor. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I just didn't think he's at a high majors. I didn't think he was at your level. He's like, no,
I totally understand that part.
Yeah, friends with a coach, offered him just as a favor because it raises his profile, and that sort of thing. So I think you got to be smart right now. Like everything you're reading, you got to take with a grain of salt. But if he ends up going to Siena, picking them over Providence, and there's no deep rooted relationship, yeah, it's definitely like a little bit of a question mark. But everything I'm seeing and hearing and reading is that Providence knows, their AD knows, they've got basketball obviously is king there. Like they have to win. And I think they are going to throw whatever resources they have NIL wise behind Kim English and essentially eliminate all excuses. And I'm not from them, but just in general, eliminate the variable of, well, NIL. If we would have had more NIL, we could have competed. They're going to eliminate that. Raising the money and spending money. It's never going to be equal. I don't think anybody in the league's ever going to be equal to St. John's, but at least competitive with the UConns, with the Villanovas and the Creightons of the world. Like you got to be able to compete with those teams NIL wise if you're going to build a roster that can compete with them on the court. And I do think Providence is doing that. I mean, and hats off to them. They've always had really strong leadership in their administration. They always have, and very forward thinking. So it doesn't shock me at all that they're going to pour some resources in there. And I hope they have a good team. I really do. I think it's great for the league. So we'll see.
We want the dunk rocking.
Absolutely.
I got to take a trip up there this year to a game, whether it's even if it's non-UConn related, just because it's definitely an experience, and talk to the Divine Providence guys about maybe setting up an event or something. So we're going to do that.
That'd be cool. What else are you hearing on the trail? Yeah. What are you
Xavier got a commitment from a 4-star. Talking about relationships, Kalek House picked Xavier because of the constant contact with the staff, but also Richard Pitino coached this kid's brother at New Mexico State.
Yeah.
So it's a big commitment for them. Again, it's a 4-star. He's a 6'5" point guard, or shooting guard, combo guard, very athletic. They're probably going to look at him as a point guard, but it's too early. This is for next year. I think, the family endorsement added some credibility there, with Richard, and I guess his brother is Jalen House, played at New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I think he's a guy that had a lot of production at the AAU level, averaged almost 20 points a game. Not much of a passer, only 2.2 assists a game, but that's okay. You got to get them buckets.
His brother wasn't either, man.
Yeah, and also shot almost 40% from 3, so he can definitely fill it up. So, yeah. Again, I love seeing those 4- and 5-star players going to the Big East. Not to say that if you're a 3-star or even lower, you can't play at this level, but it's just good to see the higher profile kids picking the Big East as a whole.
Well, and he's got some pedigree too. His dad is Eddie House, longtime NBA player, could really, really, really shoot it. So that's family, they're exactly. I was just going to say it. That family it didn't build their reputation off their ability to pass.
Well, think about that. What's that backyard barbecue like? Where you're shooting and it's like, bro, I'm open. It's like, so
yeah. Sorry.
Like, if all 3 of them are on the court at the same time, how does that happen?
Any daylight, it's going up. There's no doubt about that. But no, hey man, that's a heck of a pedigree too. I remember watching his brother play quite a bit, and could really play. So yeah, no, it's good. It's good for Xavier. I'm excited about what the Jays have cooking. We're in there pretty deep on Jackson Richardson. Speaking of former NBA players and their kids, so Jackson's coming in a couple weeks on a visit. The other kids that have committed, Control Harmon's another guard, big time player that I'm really excited about. Hopefully, we're going to have him on the Roll Jays show next week, and he's coming in to Omaha along with actually kind of a local kid, Jaden Coons, that to kind of be a part of Jackson's visit. Going to be here for the Iowa State exhibition, and I'm really excited about that. Jackson's a kid, 6'6". I mean, just an absolute freak athletically, and would really add an element to
his dad.
Team. Oh, I mean, nuts, right? Didn't he win the dunk contest? Didn't his dad win the dunk contest? Like,
I got a very short story. Mike Roberts, who was a assistant at in Indiana UNCG, and I think he's actually now at New Mexico. He told me a story when he was playing at Indiana under Bobby Knight that crossed paths with Jason, who was playing at Michigan State, so obviously in the Big Ten at the same time. He said he's that, and Mike's seen some shit, and he's seen some players, and he said Jason Richardson is easily the most athletic player he's ever been around. Easily. Like the things he could do just from a physicality standpoint, just like jumping over dudes. And there's a great bit of comedy from Bill Burr, who used to talk about coded language for when we were talking about white guys and black guys, and he would say stuff like he's like nothing worse than when an announcer goes, that guy, he really is a real he's a real thinker out there. He's got a great basketball IQ. And then it's like, did you think that guy ever says when a guy like Jason Richardson dunks over someone, like literally jumps over them, he goes, "Why didn't I think about doing that?" It's like, because you can't. You have no ability. So we all have our strengths, and Jason Richardson's strengths, on top of being an incredible basketball IQ, he could literally jump over like a car. Like he's a monster. Yeah. So that's awesome, man. I hope Creighton grabs him. That'd be dope.
Yeah, I know they feel good about him. And then the other one, which again I really don't think they have a shot here. It's another, he's like a top 10 or 20 recruit. Probably butcher his name, but his name is Baba Olatunji. I think is how you say it. Baba. He's a Maryland dude. Actually, Georgetown's offered him, Nova's offered. He's got a ton of offers. I don't love our chances there. He's another big guy, but obviously an excellent player. But yeah, he's been rumored with us, and then a Chase Branham, who's a 27 out of Kansas. Which shout out to my guy Mitch Ballock, who's recruiting him. Mitch is a former Creighton player and young up and coming coach that I think we're going to be hearing a lot about in the Big East. Brilliant offensive mind as a coach, and he's kind of coming up under that Mac Huss tree. I think he's a name for Big East fans to keep in mind. You can probably remember him as a player, but as a coach, I think he's on the verge of really starting to make a name for himself. So
cool.
We'll see if he can get that one done.
Okay. If anyone watched my show yesterday, UConn's, I got some news yesterday from some folks down here in North Carolina about essentially Cole Kluwer is down to, he's visiting Alabama. So, I mean, things can change, I guess, right? But according to reports as of yesterday, it's essentially NC State or UConn. So Will Wade or Dan Hurley. And I did a whole show on it. So if you want to go check it out on the Hoops Cap, so I won't bore anybody with the intricacies of that. But the high level is it's really just about, do you want to go play for Dan Hurley and potentially set yourself up for long term to develop and grab an NBA contract, or are you enamored with the process of Will Wade kind of rebuilding NC State into a national power? And do you also want to stay at home? He's from Hillsborough. It's a 40-minute ride to Raleigh. I think one of his parents went to NC State. Someone in his family is an NC State alum. And listen, NC State fans are like nobody could ever. You think PC fans are wild? NC State fans put PC fans to shame in terms of their passion and their craziness. Like they are clamoring for a winner down here. So all the Will Wade stuff is very kind of real, and because I've cautioned like UConn fans, like, oh, that's automatic, we're gonna get him. Like, no, Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. Like he is. Will Wade is no one to be trifled with in terms of recruiting, and so I think Cole is a great kid. He's a culture builder, very similar to like a Caravan 4-star, going to kind of build with the team. Dan loves these guys. And on top of it, he's like a 45% 3-point shooter from distance at 6'10" or 6'9". So really good player. So we'll see. That's the big one. And then we're waiting on Dylan Mingo. I think those are the two priorities. But they also love this kid out of Georgia who played in the same circuit as Steph Castle, Colton Landrew, who's a 5-star. Same build, 6'5", 6'6", kind of thick. So look, I've said the priorities are the first two, Dylan and Cole, but this kid Landrew has really kind of been on the radar as well. I'm going to have Jake Weingartner from Stock Risers come on the show with me either this week or next, and we're going to talk through all of the different UConn stuff, so I won't bore everyone here with it. So go check that out on the Hoops Cap. I do think that what's interesting is when we talk about all these guys and size, we've talked about this pre-show. The big men run the Big East, right? And I have this great essentially image from, and I'm going to give this guy some credit. He actually works for the DePod, wearing my DePaul shirt. And I'll pull this up here really quick. Where is it? Just kidding. I'm going to pause. Okay, we're back. Sorry to pause on you there for a second, but Nick Palazzolo. Hope I totally butchered your name. So Nick, I apologize. But he was like on Twitter, he has way too much free time, and the Big East men's basketball team average heights. So not even just the big men, but the entire league, from largest to smallest, everyone is in the same kind of boat. UConn's average height, bolstered by a couple guys over 7'1", is 6'8". You got DePaul at 6'7". That's huge. Georgetown 6'7". Average height, Seton Hall 6'6", Villanova 6'6", Xavier 6'6", St. John 6'6", Creighton, Providence, Marquette, Butler, all 6'6". Do you remember last year when everyone was like, oh man, Duke has got like this incredible lineup. Everyone is like 6'7" and 6'8". Well, everyone in the Big East is at least 6'6" to 6'8". What does that tell you about this?
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, you have to go roster by roster. Obviously, Nick did. So shout out Nick for taking the time, to do that. What's interesting, I also would gotta caution everybody here is the actual heights versus what's reported is always different. Always.
But can I pause you for 1 second there?
Yeah.
You know what bothers me about listing heights? How tall are you without shoes on?
Probably 5'11", 6 foot, maybe.
How tall are you with shoes?
Yeah, depending on the shoes. Yeah, 6'1". Yeah.
Right. So if you're playing basketball, how tall are you?
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Do we play barefoot? Do we play barefoot?
I know. I think
bro, that bothers me to no end. Not
really?
What you're saying. Oh my, yeah, like the NBA scouting combine. Oh, it's flat-footed. He's 6'6". Does he play with no shoes? Or are we playing beach volleyball? The dude's gonna have Kobe's on that give you an extra like 2 inches when you play.
Yeah, but most of these trainers are they're measuring their height without shoes on.
I know, but it's so stupid.
Inflating it.
Because they know how tall they're going to be when they put freaking shoes on. I just don't get it.
I don't know.
I get the reasoning, but it's just the dumbest shit ever because it's like these guys play with shoes. I'm wearing flip-flops right now. Am I going to go play basketball with flip-flops on? No.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just saying, I just keep it in mind that the heights are a little inflated. I was actually just on campus at Creighton the other day and saw the kid they just signed, Karem Conan. And I was reading before he's 6'10", true 7-footer. He walked out, and I was like, nah, not even close. Yeah. So I was with one of the coaches, and I said, how tall is he really? Like, I don't know, maybe 6'9". Like, yeah, like so. It's just kind of
if
funny
it's like 3 inches, 4 inches, that's stupid. But if it's you truly are being like, all right, we have a 6'4" shooting guard, and he takes his shoes off and he's 6'3". Well, that's all in bounds. Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but okay, I'll pick on my guy Steve. Steven was listed like I think like 6'1".
Well, that's just dumb.
Okay, well, I'm not going to tolerate Stephen Ashworth hate. That's like family.
Family. No,
but
I like
kidding.
Stephen Ashworth. I'm saying that's dumb that he'd be listed at 6'1".
It was like, whoa, but I don't know. So anyways, back to the big man. What I think is interesting is I do feel like if you look at the upper echelon in the league, it's very clear. Like you have to have a great big man if you're going to compete in this league for a championship and be considered one of the top teams. Whereas I don't know if that was always the case. Even 2-3 years ago, sure. Was it the case that you had to have a dominant big man? Like obviously you guys seem to always have somebody. Whether it's you had Klingon and this year you got Terrace Reed, so I think is going to have a huge year.
Sanogo,
Sanogo was dominant, right? But in the past, I don't know that you've always had, not you, but the Big East has had like a staple of big men. Where like this year you're going to have Zuby. Owen Freeman I think is a really high level big man in the Big East. Is a little different, obviously, than Zuby and Terrace, but still qualifies obviously as a big man. I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see is DePaul and Kaman Maker. I'm really interested to see what Chris Holtman can do with him. I think he's a good player. He was so highly recruited out of high school, made all those NBA camps, like the big man camp. I think he was a top 25. Maybe it's just big men recruit. Can't remember all off the top of my head, but I'm really excited to see him. I'm very intrigued to see what Georgetown does at that spot, because there was a lot of unknowns of what was going to happen with Sorber and if he was going to come back. And when you're recruiting a big man, there's just not a ton of them, for one. And so if you are a big man, you're not going to want to go somewhere and sit behind somebody. Right. So I think that recruiting situation was a little different for Georgetown. So I think, you look at like the what they play in the Global Jam or whatever last month, and you saw what's his name? Iwu Chukwu, I think was who started and did well. So I think you'd have to pencil him in, as your starter at Georgetown. So I'm intrigued.
And they got a kid from New Zealand that's a sophomore that's also 7 foot. Julius Halafonia. I'm terrible with names. The worst. That's why you need to be at the arena, and then you get the media pronunciation so you can get it phonetically. But when you just read it off.
Oh, yeah. Some of these names are hard. Yeah, they're hard.
I need to go back to Creighton, though, for a second. One name jumps out at me, and I'm not making fun of this kid. I think it's hysterical. I actually love his name. Liam McChesney. Is he coming out with a country album later? Like that's the most country name in terms of like country music. McChesney? Yeah. Are we kidding?
I do love the name. I do love the name. I don't know how much we'll see him on the court, but I do love.
I don't care. He's also 6'10". And I was telling Casey pre-show, like Mac should do this just for fun. Like when they play a bye game, they should put Owen Freeman, Liam McChesney, Jackson McAndrew, Aleska Dimitrovic, and Isaac Trout on the court at the exact same time. All those dudes are 6'10" and above. Just to be like, hey, bro, we're big.
Somebody's got to dribble. That's the only problem.
You gotta give. No, we'll give that to Isaac. Isaac can handle the rock a little bit. Come on now.
Yeah, sure. If you got a bunch of 6'10" and 7-footers guarding him, when you got those guards at UConn and St. John's getting up under you and
it's a bye game. Do it during a bye game.
Mark,
relax.
As the coach in me is just, it's hard. It would be fun. It would be pretty funny to see that out there, but it'd be interesting to see, man. I think the big men are here. Here's the one that I don't get though. Okay. You guys, I'm here, always here for, I'm sure you'll have a different take on this because you're a big Marquette guy. Is Ben Gold. To me, I know he can shoot it okay. I worry about Marquette inside when you go and you play some of those big boys.
I think you're right, but you don't love Iron Sheik person, 6'11".
No, I do think he's going to be a really good player. I just don't know how it translates this year.
Yeah.
But so, I think on paper, Ben Gold is your guy. And I've just never loved Ben Gold. I really haven't.
I think, and this is right up your alley. I think what people end up doing is, when we see a player, we don't see the behind the scenes of if they're getting better, if they're getting physically stronger. there's a whole off season from the last time we saw these kids. So some of these players are going to look totally different than what they looked like last year. Some good, some bad, maybe some right in the middle. And so hopefully if you're a Marquette guy, which apparently I am, if Ben Gold can put on some muscle, if he can be a little more physical, then maybe that puts a kid like Sheik Person kind of, gives him a little more time to develop. Josh Clark is a 7-footer that they like. So look, yeah, does Ben Gold have flaws? Absolutely. But I think, when you're in a program for multiple years, I know that Shaka probably wouldn't do this, but a lot of programs do. They kind of tell you should probably look at other places. So the fact that he's still there tells me that he's continuing to get better. And so I think that that's something to look for.
No, for sure. And again, I will say this about Coach Smart. Relationship wise, I think he's excellent. I think he invests time into people, and I do think like they're going to consistently be able to recruit top tier high school talent. We've said that. I think the interesting thing for them will just be how do you compete in a league like the Big East that's going to go out and spend money on transfers that are already developed physically, and compete with them night in and night out. And we'll see. I mean, I think this next year or two will really tell if that experiment is going to work or not. I don't know. I'm not trying to take away anything from that at all, because he is a heck of a developer in terms of talent and skill, and he knows where guys fit into a system.
Sure.
I just think as you break down the big men in the league, Ben Gold doesn't jump off the paper for me as dominant.
No. I think just from a size perspective, they fit the mold because, like I said, they have 6'11", 7'6'11". But in terms of impact, that is not something that I'm hanging my hat on with Marquette this year. That they're going to have good inside presence, good interior defenders, guys who can get you a bucket. The one thing I will say is, on the flip side of that, with St. John's, with all the talent they have in this league, despite Zuby Ejiofor's size, like his physical stature, he's only 6'9", and according to you, he might as well be 6'7". And then then you got Bryce Hopkins, who's listed at 6'7", who's might as well be 6'4". He might as well be Charles Barkley. So they're actually really undersized, in terms of height in this league. Now, Zuby's, this is the most ridiculous. Talking about listing wrong. If Zuby Ejiofor is 240, there's no way. Maybe his freshman year, but my dude is a senior. He's been living in Queens, getting that vitamin water money. He's going to some steakhouses. He's getting some of that good sushi. He is not 240 pounds. That dude is 265 minimum. You think so? Oh, come on now. At 6'9", LeBron is 6'8", 260. Maybe a little lighter now in his 40s, but come on now. Like, Zuby's thick.
Yeah. Here's one thing I know about Coach Pitino, though. He definitely cares about your weight, whether you're a player or you're a staff member. He cares. If you know, he cares about your weight, and he's going to hold you to that. So whatever number he wants Zuby at, Zuby will be at. I can assure you.
And that's fair, but I'm saying, like, I think they're doing him like, hey man, we're gonna drop you down a couple shekels, but there's no way. I mean, dude, like, you've seen him up close in person.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we've never met face to face before. Do you know what? I fluctuate. I'm 5'11", and I'm a thicker guy, but I don't have I'm not like, my waistline isn't big. I've lost a lot of weight. Like, I'm somewhere between 205 and 210. You're trying to tell me this dude's only 35 pounds heavier than me? Come on now. And is a foot taller than me? There's no freaking way. No freaking way.
I will say, I thought last year he was in pretty good shape.
But I think you can still be 6'9", 260 and be in great shape.
Yeah. I think
that's muscle.
Sure.
I think that's muscle. And I think that's just his body composition.
Yeah.
That's all
I'm sure he'll be at Big East Media Day. Just to ask.
I'll ask him. I'll be like, bro,
can
I ask you an honest question? As someone that struggled with weight in the past, he'll be like, who is this guy?
Too bad we don't have like a weight loss supplement as a sponsor. We could have you can wear the shirt.
We can totally get one. And so I'm with it. But no,
Hey, what do you think? Before we end it, I wanted to just touch on Providence too. What do you think about Providence? Oh, Oswin, how you say his name? Oswin.
I'm just saying Oswin. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not. They know who we're talking about. 6'10". And then they have another guy, and I'm not going to be able to get through this without laughing. That he's from like Latvia or something like that. Okay. Just a very unfortunate name to have in the States with likely how it's pronounced, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It looks like Peterus or Peterus, which is the worst name ever. And I'm sure he's a great kid, but his last name is Pinnis. Pinnis. Like what? Like how,
yeah.
Is that a gift to fans of the other teams for them to chant that?
It is. He's lucky he's playing at Providence.
Right. If it was the opposite, there'd be signs everywhere. It'd be like College Game Day gone wild.
Yeah, he better hope he plays.
I'm sorry, I'm a child. Like this is something that I was reading it. And I'm like, am I reading this correctly? And I literally went to their website and was just like, I am. Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe that's something we'll have to ask Providence fans. How you say that name?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have a good time with
but
that.
He's a 7-footer.
As will the St. John's fans when they, especially if they go to Carnesecca. Oof, those St. John's fans are pretty brutal over there.
Xavier,
and you know who else is?
Xavier fans are rough.
Yeah, and then I mean the whole Big East is, but like the other one is Seton Hall.
Oh yeah,
we were at Seton Hall one year, and some of the stuff that was being said to our bench. I mean, they're talking about coaches' daughters. Oof. I mean, it got rough, and
I'm sure.
I was like, man, these people have no shame.
The worst thing I ever said to a crowd, and I'll own this one. It wasn't even that bad, so we can say it here. I got tickets with Wes Miller and his group to go to UNCG versus ETSU. And ETSU and Johnson City are that's a passionate fan base. And if anyone knows me, and at least the way I used to be online and tweet at people, it was a little more aggressive back in the day. And so I had a budding rivalry with ETSU. Most of those guys, their burner accounts, I've actually met all of them. They're actually really cool. Like, so like, it was like a friendly thing, but not everyone's in on the joke. Right. And so the coach's box. Now, mind you, I got these tickets from Coach Miller, are literally adjacent to the student section to the left of me. And I'm looking at the basket, and they're going at the team, and one of our guys got hurt. I forget who it was, James Dickey or someone like that. And they're, calling him every name under the sun. And he's literally writhing in pain at the end of the bench. And I was just like, what a bunch of a-holes. And so instead of sitting on my hands and being, a gentleman, right. They have a promo where if you miss 2 free throws, you get Chick-fil-A. And it got real quiet. And I said as loud as I could to the entire fan base, if he makes both free throws, I'll buy every one of you guys a salad because you need it.
Well,
no, he made both free throws, so that obviously they didn't. And I was like, any takers? And they weren't too happy with me. But that being said, I don't think I ever got tickets from Wes again. Not from his doing, but I think it was more the athletic department.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I've calmed down a little bit since then. That was a pre-stroke. My blood pressure was probably a little higher at the time, and so I was a little more. What do they call it? I was a little more Dan Hurley-esque. What a great segue. Go get your book. I got an advanced copy. Never Stop. I've been able to get through about a chapter. It's fascinating. If you're a Big East fan, I honestly know everyone's roll your eyes, UConn guy. This is just super entertaining. Like I just got it like yesterday, so I'm gonna crush this in like 3 days, so I can talk about it because we're gonna have Ian O'Connor on I bet Ian would come on our show to kind of talk through it as well. So I think that's probably the plan. Is maybe he'll do my show and then come on here and just talk about the writing process and how fun it was and all that stuff. So plus Ian's been around forever to talk through like Big East stuff. So it'd be a cool,
the stories that dude has have to be unbelievable.
But yeah, go check it out. I think it comes out September 27th, 28th. You can get it at Amazon, anywhere you get your books. I'm looking forward to it because he wrote it with Dan. But any parting thoughts?
No. I'm excited. Not that we're not that far off. We're not that far off from this thing starting up.
47 days, something like that. 46 days.
Yeah, something like that. We got the Xavier show booked, right? Ready to roll. So hopefully,
we'll make that announcement of what that looks like. Check it out on Twitter and hopefully be on the lookout for a new Xavier pod that's going to hit Big East Energy Network here very shortly.
Yep, we are fired up. We're growing, and if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe, like, share it. We're excited, and it's just going to continue to grow. So, fired up. All right, this has been another episode of Big East Energy Weekly. That's Casey. I'm Mark. Go get yourself a salad. We'll talk to you later.